Welcome back, y'all. Fish in the Tree day 14 today. We will finish the book tomorrow, which is exciting. And then Thursday and Friday, you're going to have to complete your final language arts assignment of 6th grade. That's crazy. You guys are almost done. So finish strong. Get all your work done, get caught up, and then next week you won't have to do any makeup work. Okay? So make sure you answer the questions down below with 2 complete sentences like always. And we're just going to get into it today. Chapter 45, My Brother's Question. I'm working on pictures of cupcakes that talk for an ad campaign for Keisha's business. She asked me to help her. Feels great to have someone ask me for help. As I draw, I think about my sketchbook and how I love it, and don't draw in it as much anymore. It used to be the only thing that made me happy. Now, I have other things too. I hear Travis chewing gum in the doorway before I see him. Without looking up, I say, Mom told you to stop chewing gum like a goat. The whole room is not supposed to hear you. He goes silent. Weird. I finish erasing a line and look over at him. He looks kind of stiff, hands in his pockets. Then he takes one hand out and brushes his chin with his fist. Travis, what's wrong? Just wanted to ask you a question. You want to borrow money or something? He does that half smile of his and shakes his head, but I can see the seriousness. You can ask me anything you want, Travis. What is it? He comes over and sits on the bed. That teacher of yours? Mr. Daniels? What does he do after school with you? You mean chess? He shakes his head. No. The reading. What does he do? I mean, do you just sound out words and stuff? I put my pencil down. Well, we talk about words, but it's not the same as other teachers. Like, we never use paper. Ever. He lets me write in blue or pink sand or sometimes in shaving cream. Really? So you can read now? Well, not yet, but it's getting easier. It can be like running up the side of a building sometimes. I get so tired, but I am doing better. So it helps. What he does? Yeah. It's a lot more fun than learning the old way. Sometimes it's boring because he'll do a list of words that have the same letters in them, like light and might and night. He writes the letters that repeat in every word in red and the rest in black. Then he makes the word into pictures so I can remember them better. I flip my paper over. Here, I'll show you. And I write sun with all these little lines around it, pointing outward to look at the sun. And that really helps you remember it? Yeah, and he also has these sheets of plastic that I can see through, but are different colors. He puts those over the pages and it makes the headaches better. It's like turning the brightness down on a computer. It's weird. No more headaches from reading? Really? Well, I still get them, but they're not nearly as bad. Like a little stick hitting my head compared to a baseball bat. Travis smiles and stands up. Well, I'm glad he's helping you. I'm glad that you have Keisha and Albert, Squirt. You're doing great. You're doing great too, Travis. Not too long before you'll open up Nickerson Restoration, right? He nods once and turns to leave. He doesn't talk about the neon sign he'll have or the big rolling tool cases or anything. I miss hearing his mouth running like a motor about all his plans. Travis? He turns. Yeah? I could help you. Nah, he says, brushing his chin with his knuckles. I don't need you to do that. I was just wondering. Chapter 46. Flying tigers and baby elephants. Well, Allie, Albert says, meeting me at lunchtime. Before I really knew you, I used to call you the Flying Tiger. Ooh, Albert, that's a great name, Keisha says. Like fierce, like nobody messes with her, right? I wish that described me, but it doesn't. Why in the world would he nickname me that? I thought that Albert paid attention to things. I look up, and he's watching me. Well, he asks, aren't you wondering why I call you that? I shrug. It's not an insult, just my observation. I shrug again. Fine. Tell me then. Before the United States entered World War II, there were a bunch of American pilots in China. They were called the Flying Tigers. They flew those planes with the shark teeth on the nose. Wait, I say. My dad and brother love those planes. He nods once, and I try hard to shake out the mind movie of me as an airplane. They did not have many planes, so they would repaint them every few missions, change a bit of design on the numbers so the Japanese would think there were far more of them than there really were. I sort of know what he means. I've watched you, trying to figure out how to repaint yourself for people all the time, trying to make them think one thing about you when the opposite was true, like when the teachers, always getting sent to the office. Wow, I can't believe Albert noticed all this. Okay, Keisha asks, do you name everyone like that? I like analogies. They interest me and help me understand. What about me? Did you have a nickname for me? He hesitates. Okay, Professor. Spill it, Keisha says. He bites his lip. Listen, you better tell me now. The baby. What? The baby? Are you kidding me? She gets a great name like Flying Tiger and you called me the baby? The heck is that supposed to mean? He turns red. I didn't want to offend you. Well, it's just a little too late for that now. I'm going to send you into space where no man has ever gone before. No kidding. Is Keisha quoting Star Trek now? This girl's lost her mind. Called you the baby because when you're quiet, you're taking everything in. But when you want something, you're loud about it and usually get your way pretty fast. I burst out laughing. Oh man, Keisha, that is too perfect. She folds her arms with a bit of a humph, but then begins to laugh too. Albert, do you have one for yourself? I ask. When he doesn't say no, I know it means yes. Tell us, Keisha says. I'm the elephant. Because you're big, I ask. No, Keisha says, because he has a good memory. Elephants do have good memories, he said, but that isn't why I chose it. It's a symbolic name. Then why? I ask. Well, I've become a pachyderm. Is that a religion? I ask. His face twitches a bit. No, an elephant is a pachyderm. It means an animal with thick skin. Guess we're all pachyderms then, or pretend to be. His fingers picked at the side of his thumb. Elephants feel a wide range of emotions, but their behavior remains constant on the outside. Happy and sad often look the same. Can't remember the last time I had nothing to say about something. All this time I thought Albert was the science guy with as much feelings as a pine cone. But I was wrong. All that watching he does, all that thinking, he really does understand things. He definitely gets me. Chapter 47. Great minds don't think alike. Mr. Daniels looks really happy as we make an announcement to us this morning. Today, my Fantasticos, we are going to jump from social studies unit and talk a little bit about some famous people. People I bet some of you know. He takes out pictures of them and stands them up on the tray of the board. They almost cover the length of it, and I worry that we will have a test or have to write about our favorite. Mr. Daniels seems electric. I'll say their name, and then you tell me if you know why they're famous. Deal? No need to raise your hands. Just call out. Wow, he's breaking the biggest teacher rule ever. He points to the first picture. Thomas Edison. Wait, I know who that is, I squeak out. He invented the light bulb. Great, but if you know, don't answer like a question. Declare your answer. I imagine myself at the podium in front of thousands of people with arms in the air declaring my answer. What about this one, Max asks. Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone. I did a report on him. Most excellent work, Mr. Daniels says. The next one is George Washington. Everyone knows that one. Henry Ford, he asks. He invented the car, I declare. Well, he began the Ford Motor Company, but he didn't invent the car. He perfected the moving assembly line, which was a very clever way to build a lot of cars fast. Oh. Allie, how do you know so much about inventors? My mom bought a DVD called Schoolhouse Rock. It has cartoons about inventors. Ah, yes. Schoolhouse Rock is awesome. Next one, Albert Einstein, he says. This one like he's introducing someone on a game show. Albert raises his hand. Yes, Albert? Albert Einstein was born in Germany on March 14th, 1879. He's considered the greatest human mind to ever have lived in the fields of physics, mathematics, and philosophy. He changed all of science with his ideas. My father says that the field of science was like a Pinocchio as the puppet, and Einstein changed it into a real boy. Does he really? Mr. Daniels laughed. That's brilliant. Is your father a scientist, Albert? Yes, sir. He named me after Albert Einstein, so I know a lot about him. Keisha whispers to him, Is that why you style your hair after him? She turns to me. That boy has never ever seen a comb. Style my hair? Albert asks, confused. Mr. Daniels walks back towards the pictures. I have a feeling Albert's quote, Father is quite a scientist indeed. We go through the rest of the pictures. Leonardo da Vinci, famous painter of the Mona Lisa, also a gifted inventor. Pablo Picasso, another famous painter who created a modern style that no one had ever seen before. Patricia Polacco, talented illustrator and author. Whoopi Goldberg, hilarious comedian and actress. Henry Winkler, famous actor and author. Muhammad Ali, world heavyweight champion in boxing. John F. Kennedy, 35th President of the United States. Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of England during World War II. His intelligence and grit kept the Nazis from taking over England. In fact, all of these people had grit to spare. Grit. I like that word. John Lennon of the Beatles. Walt Disney, creator of Mickey Mouse. Then Mr. Daniel sends back, don't you all agree that that is a stunning group of talent? Is there anyone in here that would be willing to stand up and say that any of these people were stupid? Everyone shakes their head. Albert gave us a great rundown on Albert Einstein, but did you know he was kicked out of school when he was young? His report card said that he was too slow to amount to anything. He couldn't memorize the months of the year. In fact, he had trouble tying his shoes. But he was and remains one of the greatest minds we've ever seen. I remember when I had a hard time tying my shoes, Travis sat with me for a long time teaching me the baby way, where you make the rabbit ears. I stare at Einstein's picture with his crazy white hair that looks like he had an accident with a lighting socket. How could he figure out something like time travel and not know the months of the calendar? Mr. Daniel says, some people say that John Lennon is one of the most gifted spiritual musicians ever. He walks over and points to Walt Disney. What about this guy? Did you know he was told by a teacher that he wasn't creative enough? He moves over. How about Henry Ford? He was born understanding how an engine should work. He just knew without studying it. Hey, that's like Travis. He walks towards the windows. Knew exactly how it should go together. He never went to school for it, but he was such a genius with machines. He worked as Thomas Edison's engineer for a while. He built his first car by hand by building a motor and putting it in between two bicycles. And with this idea of using a moving assembly line, he ushered in a new world. He walks back towards the board. You know what all these people have in common, he asks the class. Then he stands in front of my desk and looks at me dead in the eye. Many believe they all had dyslexia. I feel it in my gut. In fact, I feel it everywhere. He smiles a bit. That's right. As children, they struggled to read, and even simple words, and based on some other clues as well, most experts now believe they did have dyslexia. But of course, we know their struggles weren't because they were stupid. It's just that their minds work differently. And thank goodness they did, because otherwise we may not have a telephone, or light bulbs, or stunning works of art. He smiles. Oh, and we wouldn't have Mickey Mouse. He's quiet for a while. I think he's letting it sink in. So, then, for your homework, I have an extra credit assignment. He turns on the smartboard and there's writing. That's the writing. Class is already complaining that they can't read it, complaining that it makes no sense. It's code, he says. Each letter stands for another. Extra credit for anyone who can crack it. It isn't exactly like reading with dyslexia, but it will give you a taste of how hard it is, how long it takes. Then he looks at me, and how smart you have to be to persevere. He dismisses us, and everyone starts to get ready to go home, but I'm still staring at the pictures of all those famous people, and wondering if they felt like me when they were young. Did they feel stupid? Did they wonder what would become of them? Mr. Daniel squats next to me. Allie? Although the room is loud, the sounds are far away. Are you okay, Allie? Mr. Daniels asks. I turn to him and have to clear my throat before speaking. It's true. All those people there? I look back at their pictures. All those people couldn't read like me? Indeed, he says, smiling. Not that they couldn't read. They just needed to learn a different way. That's all. He puts an oval-shaped piece of metal in front of me. This is a paperweight, he says. It's a gift for you. For me? Yeah, look. He points to each word as he reads them. Never, never, never quit. Winston Churchill. I pick it up. It's heavy. I'm not giving it to you as a reminder because I know that you will keep at it. I've really gotten a sense lately of how hard you've worked to learn what you have. And he says, laughing, you fooled a lot of smart people. So, how smart does that make you? I swallow hard. I'm giving it to you because I want you to know that I've noticed and that you're going to be okay, Allie. He leans a bit forward. Better than okay, actually. My head swims with all that's changed. In school and me. That's where we're going to end today. We're going to finish up tomorrow. And then you have one more assignment and we're done. So make sure you answer all those questions below with 2 sentences. And I will see y'all tomorrow.